Welcome in episode 57 live. Ramie and Drew with you late night Thursday pod action. I am Ramie Makloff along with Drew Flaggy. I almost called you Steve Sparky Pfeiffer. I don't know what just happened there. I went back to my old 1250 days. No, that's Drew Flaggy. We're a couple of Milwaukee comedians. We talk sports and whatever other bullshit might come to mind. So Donald Trump convicted, huh, Drew? Big news coming. No, I'm just kidding.
My algorithm, this is how annoying people are. Like my algorithm, I carefully curate my algorithm to not be political at all.
Yeah.
So it's very much like NBA Twitter or MLB Twitter, and yet still somehow Donald
you
Trump,
can't get away from it today. Yeah.
No, but it even bumped Angel Hernandez retiring down a peg, and I'm like, what? I mean, who's worse for this country, Donald Trump or Angel Hernandez? Because
I think it's Angel Trump, Hernandez. But no, I'd say Trump, but not by a wide margin. Not by a wide margin.
I'm not political.
I don't
make enough money.
I want news. I do want news. I want humor. I want funny political stuff on my timeline. And but that's about it. Like all the opinions and people arguing. I'm not. Yeah, I've also tried to cleanse my timeline of all that.
I don't make enough money for it to matter who gets elected.
I
don't make enough money for it. I'm fucked either way. It doesn't matter.
I think it especially matters. But that's just me. Again, I don't know.
No, because if you make the amount of money that I make, you want Republicans to get in. And that's not what anybody seems to want. Because they're not going to take all my fucking money from me.
Well, it's not quite that simple. But we're not a political show.
But it kind of is. I don't like being taxed.
No, really not. It's really, really not.
For all the people that listen, I'm libertarian.
Republicans aren't dropping tax rates for you, dude. They're dropping them for rich people, not you.
Nobody's dropping them for anything. I don't care.
Well, yeah, exactly.
I said I don't make enough money for it to matter.
But my point is that it's never mind. All right, you're gonna get me going down a road. It especially matters for those of us who don't have money. But that's just my opinion. I don't know. And also, there's more on the line. There's more on the line than money. I'd prefer,
whichever candidate comes out and says that under their presidency they will enact like an executive order to make inside the NBA continue and ban Draymond Green from inside the NBA. That's who gets my vote.
That's the only agenda. That's the only platform you care about.
Yeah. I'm a working man. That's what this is.
It's America. Whatever gets your vote, gets your vote. You know what I mean?
Inside the NBA, keep it. Also, no more Draymond Green.
I don't know.
I think it's a conspiracy. I know we're probably.
I don't know a politician can promise you that.
We're gonna do Brewers Cubs they're all paid for by the corporations. So Turner Sports, start lobbying.
Fair. That is fair. Yeah, they are.
I know we're gonna do Brewers Cubs first, probably, because that's the thing that most people want.
I shouldn't have said anything about the Trump thing. It was just supposed to be like a throwaway. Let's get it. We don't talk about that stuff. Let's get into the Brewers and Cubs. And 4 minutes later.
Yeah, well, you could have brought up Marvel instead, and then this would be like another 20.
Why? What happened in Marvel today? What happened in Marvel? Good thing nobody watches the first 4 minutes. The audience builds like in the first 10 minutes of the show, so very few people have seen that.
I'm vamping. That's why I thought the tangent was okay. But
what happened in Marvel?
Nothing happened in it. That's the problem. Nothing ever happens.
Okay.
I think that I think that the biggest problem I think the biggest conspiracy that there is right now is that they're putting Draymond Green on inside the NBA to just ruin all the chemistry and say nothing of value, say nothing entertaining. He can't take a joke because he's psychotic. Like, he doesn't know how to make a joke because he's a sociopath. Like, he has no idea what sarcasm is. And he seems to think that he won all 4 of those championships in Golden State, and it has nothing to do with Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and Kevin Durant. So he's kind of delusional about how big of a part he is of that team. Like, he was like the 4th guy down and all. It doesn't matter. But he's they invite him on, and I think it's so that people go, inside the NBA always kind of sucked. That's not the case.
I zoned out a little bit. I zoned out a little bit when you were talking, and then I came back and you were talking about a narcissist who insists that he won, and I thought we were still talking about Donald Trump. Boom! Look what I did, Drew. You see what I did there? Oh,
there you
brought it
go.
all back
50% of the audience. But I can't talk shit about Taylor Swift. Boom!
You served it up, and you did talk shit about Taylor Swift, and you've talked shit about Packers fans, which is most of the people watching us.
And I talk shit about, I talk shit about the fans. I talk shit about the team. Listen, we can all come together and realize that, like, Jordan Love is awesome, but, like, also chill. We should have more. We should have more championships. Not gonna get everything right all the time.
Calm the fuck down. Calm the fuck down. Oh, all right. You just reminded me of something football related.
We gotta go Brewers Cubs right now. So speaking,
I know. I'm just adding it to the rundown. Yeah, let's get to the Brewers and Cubs. The Brewers, they won a very entertaining game today, man. Whoever you were rooting for till the end, you were entertained. Then some of you were disappointed. Most of you, I'm assuming, are in the Milwaukee area. And you were thrilled with the Brewers taking 3 of 4 from the Cubs and spoiling Craig Counsell's first homecoming to American Family Field as the manager of the Chicago Cubs.
Who?
Oh, stop it!
Listen,
you're like a dude who obsessed over his ex and couldn't stop talking about her for 4 months, and then you bang one girl and you're like, who? You're still hung up.
That bitch. The shit she used to do in my house used to just drive me absolutely crazy. You know how many pitchers that girl used to pull all the time when they were having a really good game in way of a reliever who probably wasn't that good? Used to drive us. And I would come home from work and just want to turn on my Xbox, and Craig Counsell was like, excuse you, you didn't put your keys in the bowl. Pat Murphy lets me put my keys where I want.
That's true. Yeah. You know what? I was listening since you brought it up, and we can talk about the game and the series more if you want, but like a lot of it is about Craig Counsell. Today I was listening to Parkins and Spiegel on 670 The Score, where sometimes
they hate Bart.
You'll hear them. They had Bart on the show today. They love Bart. And Bart, and I love Bart. Like he's my bro. He's my radio bro. I love Bart to death. But Bart and others are trying to paint this picture of like, oh, it's so much more fun, and they have so much more energy with Pat Murphy than they did with Craig Counsell. And like Counsell himself is a very like even keel, monotone dude. Like he's never been like the fun type, but he never stopped them from having fun. I always thought the Brewers were a fun baseball team under Craig Counsell. They had the bell in the dugout. They had their little this thing celebration. Remember this when they were doing this when they'd get base hits, the claws thing. Like this is not, dude. You guys are like rewriting history about, and all of a sudden he wasn't a good manager and didn't know how to manage a bullpen. Like you guys are rewriting history in the aftermath of this breakup. Just appreciate the relationship for what it was, and it didn't work out, and you both moved on. And he moved on to your rival, and you hate it, and I get it, but don't rewrite fucking history.
I'm not rewriting history. Now, the Brewers team plays a lot more aggressive. I think they play a lot more to their strengths under Pat.
Well, there's a different style. There's a different style of baseball, and they were talking a lot today on Valley Sports about their 2-strike and 2-out approach at the plate, the running. They're running a lot more, being more aggressive on the bases. I'm not saying that there isn't a different style with Pat Murphy and different players, but like this whole thing of like, oh, they're having fun now. Oh, Craig Counsell didn't know how to manage a bullpen when he was here. Dude, y'all thought he was the best manager in baseball a year ago, and you were pissed off that Mark Antonacci was going to let him go to free agency. Be real.
Yeah, but the other thing too is I think that like them playing to their strengths by running and like stealing bases constantly. I mean, fuck, William Contreras stole a base last night. There's all sorts of like shit that like they've been doing that like they weren't doing under Craig Counsell. They were very station to station, wait for a home run because home runs are exciting. Maybe that was the Brewers culture that we were bred to have. maybe somebody else that was gonna be like, no, we're gonna actually, play aggressive baseball. But like the bigger thing here is that we've gotten into three or benches clear scuffles with the AL East, which is really funny. That it's specifically that division that we're like, yeah, we're clear in the bench, and we did it against the Mets too. So like we've emptied out dugouts all season long, and it's like Craig Counsell never really did that. Like never really let our guys jaw that much, or maybe our guys didn't jaw under him. But the Brewers are playing. I wouldn't say they're having more fun, or I think they're having fun in a different way than they used to, but what I do think that they're doing is they're playing with a little bit of an edge because they're allowed to play to their strengths. Bryce Terang, Sal Frelick, they're allowed to run and steal bases.
Mm-hmm.
They're allowed to.
I'm not saying that there isn't a difference in the way that they're playing and that Pat Murphy is managing this baseball team, but there are certain things about the Craig Counsell era that all of a sudden people have a different recollection than what it was while it was happening. He was never like a Tony La Russa who was like, you don't pimp home runs, you don't have fun out there, you don't have celebrations. Dude, they always had their fun little celebrations. He never stopped Willie Adames from pimping a home run. And like I said, now all of a sudden he didn't know how to manage a bullpen when, again, a year ago, everybody in the 414 and beyond thought that this guy was the best manager in baseball.
Well, I mean, come on. Remember when Brett Favre left and everybody was like, he threw too many interceptions.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same thing.
Aaron Rodgers playmaking decisions as it dragged on in Green Bay. Yes, he did become a lot more unforgiving of guys who would get one drop or something, and he would target one guy in a playoff game, and then they would just double cover him, and then he would throw in a double coverage. But it was like, his entire career, Aaron Rodgers would only focus on one or two guys. Like, you're rewriting history. That's not how it was. And it's right. Like, whatever it helps people, if people want to cope on that and be like, Craig Counsell is a terrible manager, it's fun to meme on.
Yes. I don't mind a joke. I don't mind people joking, but there are people legitimately who are like, Craig Counsell sucks.
I texted my dad's friend last night because he was also at the Brewer game, and he's a Cubs fan. And I texted him, Section 212, you owe me a beer. And he said, why? And I said, because I have to look at your fucking team all night. And he ended up leaving early.
Well, yeah. And a lot of Brewers fans left early in game 2. When I was there, I took video of it. It was very fun. But you guys got the best of them. You guys took 3 or 4 in the series. And honestly, man, the Brewers have and I said this the other night on the Cubs radio network, 670 The Score. The Brewers have a commanding lead in this division now, 5.5. It could have been 7.5 if they had swept this series. But 5.5 is not like even as we enter June, that's not something that you just come back from. And quite frankly, the way that the Brewers are playing right now compared to the way that the Cubs are playing doesn't make me happy to say it. Although I have no hate for the Brewers. I've said it many times. If it's not us, I want it to be you. But I don't see the Brewers going anywhere, and the Cubs have a tough climb in getting back into, well, I don't want to say back into this race. They're in the race. 5.5 out entering June is not out of the race. But if they want to knock the Brewers off, it's not going to be easy, dude. This is a team that's going to be there all year long. Nothing is changing.
No, I agree with that. Like, I'm not saying this to like dunk on Cubs fans or dunk on you or be like a dick. I do think that this series showed that the Brewers are a better team than the Cubs. And that's with all the injuries on each side. Like, because you still got guys that are supposed to be pretty good, like Seiya Suzuki and stuff, that just didn't do anything.
Until today, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, but like you pretty much for the most part, like for the Brewers up and down the lineup, everybody contributed in the series. Yeah. And for the Cubs, for the most part, outside of starting pitching for the most part, besides really yesterday, it was pretty much our offense and our pitching did everything. Every hitter did something. Even guys that got, they had to come in and like pinch hit and stuff. Like everybody did something for us.
Yep.
You guys had a couple guys we had to worry about here and there.
And before and the Brewers too. The Brewers have had their injury problems as well. But earlier in the season and when these struggles first started for the Cubs, you could point to injury. Like literally everybody from 2 to 7, I think, in their lineup at one point was out for a stretch. Seiya Suzuki, Nico Horner, Dansby Swanson, Cody Bellinger, Ian Happ, all those guys missed time. And that's the heart of their order right there. And there was 2 or 3 of them missing at a time for much of the stretch. But it's been a good, I want to say 2 weeks plus that they've had all those guys back in the lineup healthy, and they still can't seem to score. Like at this point, it's just they're underperforming for about the last 2.5 weeks, and you might give guys a little bit of time to get back and find their rhythm and get in the swing of things. But right now, to this point, as far as the Cubs offense goes, it's just underperforming. While you could point to guys in the middle of the Brewers lineup, namely the two Willies, and they're overperforming in a lot of cases. And then you look at the youngsters that they're bringing up. And by the way, Mitchell hasn't even played yet this season. But you mentioned Terang and Frelick.
Hoskins out right now too.
Hoskins is out right now too. Yeah, the Brewers have had their own injury issues. I wasn't making both these teams have dealt with their own injury issues, but I'm like the Cubs can't really point to injuries when you look at the last 20 days or so, or 17 days or so.
And I was gonna say, even like Hoskins being out, we had to have Gary Sanchez play. Oh, and what happened? Oh, Gary Sanchez was huge yesterday and today.
Yep.
So I mean, it was. I don't know. It was just everybody on this team it seems like they're all playing loose. And I think the Brewers understood, like at this point with social media and how much these players acknowledge like the fans and stuff, like what the fans are feeling. And they all understand like in every sport, like for the most part. The Brewers knew coming into this series exactly what the fans were like really looking for on the Brewers side, and it was stick it to Craig Counsell. Like, not to make it back about Craig again, but I think those players wanted to get him back. Like, because if you're Willy Adames, if you're Christian Yelich, and you're like, what, we weren't good enough for you, so you went to this team of proven players, but you got a bigger payroll, so maybe the Cubs go buy some guys.
I can't. I don't know. Have they asked any players about Chris? I'm sure somebody has in the last few days. But for me, the way I would feel would be from let's say we're doing the Big Show, right, back in the day, and Sparky or Gary, they get a big offer from ESPN Radio, and they go over there. I'd be like, I get it. I understand why you did it, and I don't blame you. Like from a personal side. And you're still going to be my boy, and I still got love for you and all that. But I really, really want to kick your ass. You know what I mean? Like it's not like a hate thing, but yeah, as a competitor, yeah, you really want to beat that guy. And on top of that, I think that a lot of the guys with the Brewers, because you saw how they reacted to the Josh Hader trade. It was off season, so you didn't get to hear from any players, but I'm sure guys weren't happy when Corbin Burns was traded, and all these types of deals where they have to trade guys for money reasons. Players have shown their displeasure with that. So they probably see the same things that lured Craig Counsell away. They definitely understand that when you talk about the resources of the team that you're working for versus the resources that you can get going and working for somebody else.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's just I think the players had to be kind of smiling a little bit about what happened. And just the way that like we beat them. And honestly, I'll even say if McGill doesn't get that ball rocketed right back at his elbow, I mean that's a different extra inning scenario too. So who even knows if the wheels fall off of that one if we have our kind of temporary closer.
True. Yeah.
So it's like the Brewers could be looking at this being like, yeah, we could be 7.5 up right now.
I could definitely see, like I said, the Cubs lineup is underperforming. I don't think this lasts. I think, when you're talking about guys like Nico Horner and Dansby Swanson, Cody Bellinger, like I think the law of averages says they're going to hit better. So I think the Cubs lineup could catch up to the Brewers lineup and be just as good. I think the Cubs starting pitching is just as good as the Brewers. One place where, unless the Cubs make a move before the trade deadline, one area of the game where I think the Brewers definitely have an edge on the Cubs, even when both are fully healthy, is that bullpen, man. And this is without even Devin Williams being out there yet.
Yeah. Yeah, but we can't, like I said the other night, we can't keep just having guys get hurt. Like this is getting comical at this point. Like
it is. Yeah, it is.
It's like you're like, how could this happen? Like, because then like the McGill thing, like when I rewatched it and like he got hit in the elbow, and I was like, dude, that sounded like a fucking tree branch snapping off. Like that was awful here. You're like, oh
yeah, I was there. I heard it. It was not pretty. I mean, I heard it, but I didn't see the way he reacted because I immediately started. I'm a baseball guy, Drew. So my eyes went straight to the guys running the bases because that's just what my instinct does.
Yeah, you're a purist. Well, I was also a purist yelling, "Pick up the fucking ball." That's me being focused on the play of the game. That's me having like just like laser focus. Like I'm unflappable, dude.
I'm not gonna lie. I felt bad. Because again, I didn't see what I saw the ball go off McGill, and then immediately I was watching. I forget who the runner was that came around and scored from second. But anyways, I was watching him and I was screaming, "Run, run, run!" And then he scored, and I'm like literally jumping and screaming and clapping, and everybody around me is a Brewers fan, so they're all like concerned for McGill's health. I felt like a dick. I'm not gonna lie. I know I was just doing what I should do as a Cubs fan, but I felt like a dick in that situation.
I had a am I the asshole? I asked this today at the gym actually because a couple people were questioning about my sunburn, how I got this. And I told them about the playing basketball on Saturday thing. And I told them that one of the guys that one of our friends that they paired up with me who doesn't play basketball, he has no idea. I think you could put a baseball, a basketball, and a football in front of him and be like, which one is a basketball? He's got a 2 out of 3 chance of getting this one wrong. And it's pretty even across the board. He might, I don't know. And just we were playing.
Funny. Just real quick to interject into your story. It adds to your story and then carry on. He was at the Improv open mic tonight, and he has a joke about him playing sports, and I laughed at it. It's a funny joke, but I laughed at it even harder than it maybe deserved because I was thinking about you talking about playing basketball with him. So carry on.
He listen. The rules are when you check the ball in, you pass it in. You got to pass it.
That's it.
Pass it in. Well, I went like this to be like, okay, he's gonna. I was like, he's cutting. I faked the pass, and then I threw it no look right at where he was. Well, it turns out he was texting, and I knocked his phone out. And I was like, why the fuck is your phone out? And everyone else was like, dude, you could have broke his phone. And I was like, OtterBox, why is the phone out?
Wait.
And he's like,
was this after like a break in the action? Did you guys just take a water break or something and you didn't and he didn't know that you were starting again? Or was this just mid-game he pulled his phone out?
Mid-game.
Well, that's ridiculous.
It was the score was like 10-8. So like we were like on game point.
Right.
That's and he's ridiculous. Got his phone out. Hey, Bay. Game point. LOL. Love you. And I was like, so I asked the guys at the gym, I'm like,
court right there.
For that, and everybody was like, no. But also everybody was on the basketball court, so they were like, no, not an asshole.
I would leave the court right there. A couple comments from Joe on the YouTube page. First, concerning Craig Counsell, he says, didn't want to lose Craig or hate him as a manager, but if losing him equals bringing in Gary or Reese, I'm all for it. Don't think managers are that valuable. I disagree. I think managers are very valuable. I think Craig Counsell is a very good one. I think he's better than the Cubs had. I like David Ross. I just think Craig Counsell is better, and that's all that matters to me. Maybe Pat Murphy is better. Maybe you guys lucked out, and Craig Counsell walked away and an even better manager fell in your lap. I don't know. Sample size is still very small. The sample size suggests Craig Counsell is a very good manager. And I would add to that, don't let Mark Antanasio off the hook for being cheap when it came to his manager. Like even if it works out, don't and it didn't equal bringing in Reese or Gary. They could have done both. Like there wasn't an either or thing. Mark Antanasio is a billionaire, and if you were mad that he let Craig Counsell walk, or that he was so cheap that he let Craig Counsell walk, if you were mad about that 6 months ago or whatever it was, you should still be mad about that today. You can be mad about that and still be like, I guess we're lucky and it worked out, and Pat Murphy is a pretty damn good one too.
My anger towards Mark Antanasio is going to start budding again when it gets to the point of, do we start paying players? Like right now, the big looming one. And remember, I was hypercritical of Willy Adames.
That actually, real quick, that leads right into Joe's next comment. He says, I'm pretty worried the Cubs are going to sign Willie. The Brewers do take him for granted. I don't think the Cubs are going to sign Willie because they have a couple $100 million at shortstop right now in Dansby Swanson. But I wouldn't be surprised if somebody dished out some big bucks for Willy Adames.
The Dodgers have been linked to looking at Willy Adames a couple times. A team I wouldn't sleep on right now would be the Cardinals, trying to shell out a little bit of money, especially if they could unload. If you're afraid of it being in our division, because you look at Goldschmidt's contract is terrible now. He's awful.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Father Time's caught up to him. Nolan Arenado isn't it? And now they got Brandon Crawford, who just can't hit a baseball. Crawford's batting like 067 or something like that. He is really bad. So again, they have an old team, and unfortunately, it's like you could eat that Brandon Crawford contract. I don't know even how long it was for. I don't know if it was a 1 year, but it gets to a point where it's like you could really look at something and go, all right, maybe they go spend top dollar on now Willy Adames or something, and then you would have Wilson Contreras and Adames on that team. And that's where you start looking at Mark Antanasio and be like, what are you going to do with Willie? Because I was the guy who was kind of poo-pooing him for a long time, and I'm really happy with the way he's playing. And with the team that's around him right now, I'm comfortable with him being the cleanup hitter. I'm fine with the at-bats he's been taking. He swings and misses a lot, but like he's also shortening up and like actually taking the ball and hitting it where it's pitched instead of just trying to go for the fence all the time. He's had a lot of great down the line doubles. He's been able to pop the hips a little bit and drive the ball. Like, I think his approach at the plate right now is much, much better than it's been the last 2 years. And this is the Willy Adames that I would be comfortable giving some money to.
What is his contract situation? Do you know off the top of your head when he hits free agency or no? I can find out real quick.
Years, but I think we're getting to the end of arbitration. It might be next year. I'm not really sure. But then again, the other one too is, and this is just, I know it can't jump too far ahead because we have William Contreras for a long time. He's another guy that you're like, well, dude, that guy plays every day right now.
He needs a break. If there's one, I don't know what you would call it, but if there's one,
I guess you could say maybe he did, because what was he hitless yesterday and today, or did he have a hit today?
I can check in a second. Right now, I'm trying to get.
I think he took an over yesterday, but I think he took a walk also, or maybe he did get a hit. I don't remember, but oh no, it was the night before that he went hitless. It was Tuesday. It's like maybe, but like also, dude, he's still batting 320. Like, I don't know. Does he need a day off?
Oh, Willy Adames is a free agent, unrestricted free agent in 2025, this upcoming year. They agreed to terms in arbitration. He's getting $12.25 million right now, but that was his last year of arbitration. He hits free agency this offseason.
Well, Brewers got to make a decision. I mean, I don't think we're going to. Yeah, this is going to be a Josh Hader situation where we're just going to unload him when we're in.
Contreras was 0 for 4 today.
What? Okay.
Contreras is 0 for 4 today.
If he takes a couple more offers, like, and we play the White Sox, and they're dog shit too, so you might as well just be like, all right, because you can keep DHing him also if you have to, but like until he says I can't go, then I mean, just I would let him play. I don't think he
I
needs
don't
it
know.
unless like he's hurting the team out there by being out there. I don't know. I don't think you sit him. Let him play.
I don't see the harm in taking a day off if it means if it means he's going to come back more effective, well rested, and it means later in the season, dude, catchers especially. And I'm sorry, I'm not letting players. I'm gonna have a dialogue with players, and it's certainly gonna factor in. But I'm not gonna let players decide their playing time. Like, of course, everybody wants to play every day. Well, not everybody, but a lot of guys want to play every day. You got to be the adult in the room and be like, yeah, that's not a good idea. You should take a day off every few weeks.
So then maybe when Rhys Hoskins comes back, you
Maybe, yeah.
park Gary Sanchez behind the plate, and then you say, all right, Rhys Hoskins going back to first base, or he's DHing and you got Bowers or something. And then all you got to do is be like, William, take a day. There you go.
Yeah. It's not a big deal. The Cubs had to do it. The Cubs had to do it with Dansby Swanson. He's one of those hard-headed, old-school guys who's like, I want to play 162, and they finally sat him down this year, and they were like, yeah, no, that's not a good idea, and here's why. And they showed it. They showed the data to him of what happens with guys who play 162 games over the course of a season and over the course of a career. Like, it's not good. Most guys can't do it.
No, and William Contreras is still young enough that he can. Right now, he's young and he can heal like Wolverine, and he's going to be out there every day, and I'm cool with that. Back end of his career, this might be terrible, but like, I mean, I'm going to let it ride right now, because also the other thing I was going to say, like this Brewers team, and this is comparing them to last year. If the playoffs started right now, I would feel better about this team being able to push into the second round if we were division winners just like last year, than I was about last year's team. I thought there were too many problems on offense. This team, I'm like, fucking Blake Perkins might be the MVP of this series.
Dude, he had a hell of a series.
Or it's I'm just saying like of like a playoff series. Like it's anybody can do it.
Oh, I thought you were talking about this Cubs series. That catch he made today, running full speed at the wall. I thought he was going to smash his head into the. If he doesn't start to slow down and dive like one step more, he's going head first into that wall. That was a hell of a catch.
Well, last night when he had the diving catch at the wall, that was nuts.
Oh wait, am I thinking of last night? I watched so much Cubs Brewers in the last few days. Yeah, it was last night. You're right.
Was there one today that went to the wall where like somebody caught it like right at the wall? I'm like, careful with bumping into the wall because your glove's gonna move and that ball comes out. Like, I'm like, it's two hands for safety, guys.
But I don't know what is the special sauce with the Brewers that they know where to find this guy. They were talking about his journey to the Brewers today. He was a 6-year minor league guy who exercised his free agency, and the Brewers snatch him up, and he's doing what he's doing for him this year. Willy Adames was not a guy who a lot of people thought had a super bright future in this league. William Contreras was the other Contreras brother till he got to the Brewers. Like, they just know how to find these guys and then tap them for the most that you can get out of their potential. And that's organizational, man. And you know what's funny? And again, you guys want to rewrite history when it comes to Craig Counsell and say it's a good thing. I think that's crazy. But one silver lining in being so cheap that you let him walk away is that before, I think a lot of the dialogue around the Brewers, especially outside of Milwaukee, was, man, look at what Craig Counsell is doing with these guys. You know what I mean? Like this overachieving little engine that could in this small market, man. What a great manager that guy is. And it doesn't mean that he's not, but I think him going to the Cubs and them still doing this, them still pulling off these tricks that they pull, a lot of people are going, and I'm hearing it in national baseball discussions. I was hearing it today on The Score down in Chicago. A lot of people are looking at it and going, man, that's a really good organization. Like, it went from being, look at what Craig Counsell is doing to get the most out of these guys, to, wow, that's a really good organization that they got there. Like, I think the praise and the respect for this organization is going up when they don't have the face of Craig Counsell necessarily to put on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, because the last couple of years too, you didn't really have a player. Yelich started, coming back last year, but up until then, you didn't have like a guy that people would tune in to watch. Like it was basically Craig Counsell was the constant in like all of it. And I guess maybe you had premier pitching with Woodruff and Burns, but other than that,
Yeah, and Hader, yeah.
Yeah, but then it's like, you lost Hader, and then, Woodruff got hurt right before the playoffs, and, his career's in jeopardy still. I mean, it's nice to see him in the dugout with everybody, and I hope he comes back because he was one of my favorite players on the team. And then, Burns is gone, so now it's like, well, but Freddie Peralta's been really good this year. And my thing was durability with him because he always had oblique strains and goofy shit like that happen. And I'm amazed that he's the pitcher that hasn't gotten hurt yet, considering all of our free agent pitchers have been hurt now.
Pretty remarkable, yeah.
Our bullpen keeps dropping like flies. That shit's crazy. And it's just, so it's like, I don't know. I'm kind of sitting here being like, are we actually going to make a solid playoff run here? Like,
I told you.
Young team,
I told you this to start I told you this to start the season, that this was a team that could do that. You don't want to believe me.
I never said they couldn't win, or they couldn't win the division. I never said that. Like you get there and then you match up against all the other teams that are in the playoffs and you go, can you fucking beat any of these teams? Because I looked at it, Atlanta, Philly, you look at fucking the Dodgers, like even the Diamondbacks, their pitching staff last year. I'm like, you can't beat any of these teams.
Yeah.
Your best bet is you face your own division.
Yeah. That's only, like
I
said, I did want to get some NBA talk in, and I'm starting to lose my voice. I'm still getting over this sinus infection. Yeah, our RIP to our Wolves. They go down to the Mavs today in 5 games. And Drew, I was sort of watching the game. I was performing at the Improv tonight. So I had it up on my phone, and I was like in and out of the. It was not the biggest show, but I was in and out of the game, and like I didn't have the sound on. But when I turned it on in the second half, when I got home, what I thought I was watching was what seemed to be confirmed by the guys on the TNT call, which was, and I heard some of the radio call on the way home. They alluded to the same thing. It was a very flat performance, especially in the first, 2.5 quarters. The Wolves showed some life there late in the third quarter and early fourth quarter, but that was about it. I don't know, and it's still a great season. This doesn't take anything away from the season that the Wolves had, and Anthony Edwards still like the rising star in this league, if you ask me, right along with Luka. But I don't know how you come out that flat for an elimination game on your home court after you just did what you did to stay alive in this series.
Well, I think it speaks to the inexperience of Anthony Edwards at this point, because there's the thing where people always like the NBA's looking so much for like their next American-born player to be the face of this league. And every player that gets a little bit of smoke, they're like, "Ooh, this is the guy. This is the guy." Everybody is like, and I like Anthony Edwards, but he's a guy that I'm going to watch grow because he's not a finished product yet.
He's like 22 or 23. 22. Yeah, he's a kid.
Dude, not a finished product yet. Like everyone talks about Giannis won when they were 27 years old. Jason Tatum's 27 right now. Like,
yep.
It's like all of these guys, like there is a career here and he's going to learn. The biggest concerns for me about the Timberwolves aren't Anthony Edwards going forward. It's mostly guys like Mike Conley, who is 37 years old. Like you got a lot of key players that are older. Like Cat is a guy that they're going to have to make a tough decision on re-signing probably. And they're going to have to talk to Cat in the offseason about like, okay, so we weren't going to change the way we played all season long. We got here with you shooting 1 million 3-pointers and being the best shooting big man in like the last 20 years in the NBA. But now you have to add a little something that when that shot's not falling, we got to figure out a way to get you other shots. And that's on Chris Finch to get an offense around, not just having Cat chuck up threes. It's the same thing as the Bucks adjusting to not having Giannis just run and dunk and go downhill and everyone else just stand around. It's like you can't rely on that. But if that's all you did all year for your first year of making it this far in the playoffs, you're going to lean on it because what else do you have?
No, you always got to be. I mean, LeBron tries to add something to his game every year. Michael Jordan tried to add something. So, yeah, Cat definitely needs to add something to his game. I think he stays there in Minnesota. I think he's finally comfortable there in Minnesota. I think there was too much heat and too much pressure on him those years where he was like the guy that the Wolves' hopes rested on. I don't think he's that, but I think Anthony Edwards has definitely pushed him into a more comfortable zone. I don't think he's going anywhere. And he got off to a really rough start in this series, especially the first 3 games, and people were dogging him. Games 4 and even tonight in the loss in Game 5, he was good, man. He wasn't hitting threes. He was 1 for 6, but 9 of 20 from the field, 28 points. He grabbed 12 boards. Karl Anthony Towns had a good night. Anthony Edwards had a pretty. He was 10 of 18, 4 of 6 from 3. He had 28, 9, and 6. Like, everybody, and this is where the flatness in the performance comes in. I don't know what it ended up being, but at the end of the third quarter, I heard them say on the call, everybody not named Cat and Anthony Edwards were 10 for 32 from the field. It didn't get any better in the fourth quarter, but that's and I don't know how to look up that number, but that's what it was at the end of 3 quarters. Everybody not named Anthony Edwards or Cat was 10 of 32, and that's never going to get it done.
No, Naz Reid was pretty good in like that third and fourth quarter. Outside of that, there was nobody that I was like, Kyle Anderson, I thought was terrible. His shot is also terrible. Like, that is.
Yeah, it's ugly, dude. It's an ugly shot.
Somebody tweeted that Kyle Anderson's 3-point shot has to go through a 2-step verification process before he can hit it. That was Luka was just, dude. Luka was unreal again. Luka and Kyrie both they each had 36 tonight. Is that what they finished?
I think so. Let me double check that.
Dude, I mean, both of them are just they're crazy. Like, I'm absolutely rooting for the Mavericks in this series.
That actually check out what I had ready for this portion of the show.
Yeah, we are.
I guess we're Mavs fans now. I guess that's where we're at, huh?
The other night against
36 apiece for those two. You were correct. They were 28 of 49 from the field. 28 of 49 from the field for those two guys.
I mean, listen. I don't know if the Celtics. You know what? I don't even want to get into the Celtics because I don't want to start.
We can hold off on that. We got plenty of time because the finals don't start for a fucking week.
You know what? That's all the time for Luka to get healthy with his entire body that should be in a cast or something like that. Like, he's. What do you think about,
I said.
What do you think about his shoes? His moccasin shoes.
Those are interesting.
Fire, dude. Those are so awesome.
I love sneakers. You love sneakers. Those aren't my jam. I'll just leave it at
that. They are so obnoxious that I'm like, I like those.
I think there's a statement there, and I think I like the statement. But from a fashion standpoint, not my jam.
Listen, I'm looking right now at my corner of my basketball shoes that I wear to the gym.
And you feel like you need to add some air moccasins to them? Dude,
I mean, listen, those are crazy. And no, I would wear those. I would wear those on stage. I would go up at the Improv. Those are wild. But I got my mint chocolate chip Dames. I got the blue and pink ones that I just bought the other day. And then I got the black ones that have the strap on the side that have like little movie tickets that say admit one. Like, those are like I have some wild shoes, dude. Like,
I hesitate to say this because I feel like it's going to send us down a road that will make this podcast 20 minutes longer. And again, I'm losing my voice as I get over a sinus infection that spread down to my chest. But B, I know one of us is going to say something stupid. would it be appropriation if one of us wore those shoes?
I don't think Kyrie's Native American either.
I think he has some Native American blood.
Oh, that's sick.
I think that's part of the reason why he's wearing them.
I don't know. I mean, who cares, man? Listen, you can be worried about cultural appropriation. I call it appreciation of the claim to be Native.
I don't know. Sometimes I'm not sure. Like
cookbook.
I think cultural appropriation is real. There are people who don't think it's real, but sometimes I don't know when we're crossing the line into it. Because you're right. Sometimes it is just appreciation, and then sometimes it crosses the line right into appropriate. I think that's why the two words are so close.
Listen, I have a cousin, when her first year of college, like when she came back from college and it was Christmas time, she yelled at me for wearing Buck stuff because basketball's not a part of white culture. That's what fucking
that's crazy. No, that's crazy.
That's what the white girl told me. Because most people look like me. I shouldn't fucking like basketball.
See, but the opposite.
Right there, the ship sailed on cultural appropriation for me. I'm
done.
But
the opposite, but you see, the opposite end of that spectrum are people who are like, it's not real, it doesn't exist. The truth is somewhere in the middle of the people who are like, you as a white man can't like basketball, and then the people who are like, no, we should all be able to do and wear and do with our hair whatever we want, and you can't. Like you just can't.
Vikings had dreads, like Norse people had dreads.
Okay, you see, that's exactly what.
Here's the thing, I would never advocate for someone like me to get dreads. Here's why. One, I've never thought about owning reptiles. I don't sell cocaine. And I own a pair of red Adidas sweatpants, so I don't want to be confused for a Korn fan. But also, guess what? I'm a Korn fan. I'm not going Jonathan Davis at this point.
I think that's a great place. I think that's a really great place to end the show on. I think we walked the line nicely on that particular discussion. We covered some Brewers, Cubs, Wolves. We gave it just a little taste of the finals, and I guess we're all Mavs fans now. I feel like, and we gave our thoughts on the news of the day with former President Donald Trump. Go back if you're just tuning in live. Go back and check that out on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple. Follow, like, rate, review, tell a friend while you're there. I don't know, and then our thoughts on appropriation. I don't know that there's anything else that we could do here tonight, Drew, that would be any more productive.
Are you gonna come play basketball on Saturday?
Saturday, I'm off. Yeah, it's supposed to rain, but if we can get it in, let's get it in.
Now, I guess we're going to look at the weather, because me and Vegas have been talking about doing basketball again. He put it up on his Facebook, getting people to play. He told me the other day that a bunch of people were like, yeah, like we're going to go, like we would like to go play this weekend. I'm like, why did nobody tell me this time? Are people afraid to get these buckets?
They're scared, dude. They're scared to get the buckets.
No. Just a little helpful to any of the comics that are going to come play basketball. Leave your fucking phone in your pocket if you have.
They don't tell me, because everybody's like 10, 15 years younger than me, and they don't want me bringing that grown man strength out there.
If you just know the basic rules, like, it's going to help so much.
That would help a lot. And yes, keep your phone away while the game is going on.
I have a backpack. It's got different pouches. You can put your stuff in them. It's fine.
It's really handy. It's really amazing what they're doing with backpacks these days. All right, Drew, any final words before we wrap this thing up?
Do the Celtics want to bring back Kristaps Porzingis even? Will that mess with chemistry?
All right, Reggie Miller.
For
Reggie Miller, a.k.a. Drew Flaggy. I am Ramie Maklov saying thanks for watching, listening to Ramie and Drew. Follow, like, rate, review, subscribe, tell a friend on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple, and we will talk to you next time.